Panasonic's commitment to product stewardship has been in place since the company was first founded early last century and continues to be one of our key environmental activities around the world. As one of the world's largest manufacturers, we need to ensure we design products that require fewer resources and more utilisation of recycled materials. Use of recycled materials is a commitment we take very seriously. For instance, last year, more than 13% of total materials used during the manufacturing process were from recycled sources. This is a significant contribution and one that's growing year by year. For example, during 2011, more than 6,000 tonnes of recycled plastics were used in our new products, equivalent to saving 980,000 barrels of oil. Another area in which Panasonic is extremely active is in the development of recycling and other stewardship schemes in the countries in which we operate. Here in Australia, we're pleased to be amongst the newest members of the Global Product Stewardship Council. It's a growing and exciting organisation that we hope will continue to provide industry leadership for many years to come. Other local initiatives include our long-term support of the Product Stewardship Council and as a strong campaigner for Australia's first e-waste recycling scheme. Panasonic spent the better part of 5 years actively campaigning for the introduction of a national e-waste recycling scheme, and so we were obviously pleased to see this become a reality. It was a lot of hard work. However, we were joined by other like-minded companies that were also committed to seeing this program come to life. Their continued enthusiasm and participation were integral in the developing such a comprehensive regulatory approach. Moving forward, there remain two key challenges. Firstly, making sure that the collection and recycling program is well executed, and secondly, educating other businesses who haven't been as deeply involved about the benefits of the program. With respect to the first challenge, Panasonic recently joined the industry group ANZRP, which is going to provide recycling program services on behalf of some of the world's largest technology and entertainment companies. During the coming months, the group will begin rolling out its collection of recycling programs, and will finally begin to see old televisions and computers diverted from landfill. Ironically, the second challenge of convincing other businesses about the benefits of the program may be much more difficult. Even though the program is mandatory for manufacturers, we want other companies to be as excited about this initiative as we are. Just because an organisation is present doesn't necessarily mean that they're fully invested into it. It's probably true that there's some organisations out there in our industry that consider this to be something of just a business burden. They might comply with the scheme, but we as an industry won't get the best out of it unless they really want to be involved. We've seen many instances overseas where increased enthusiasm amongst companies has led to a dramatic improvement in the program delivery, whether it's in the US, Europe or Asia. We need to get as many companies as we can on board if we want to tackle Australia's e-waste program as effectively and as efficiently as possible. They need to understand that this is potentially long-term business driver rather than just a regulatory obligation. Well, Panasonic's now got a global stewardship footprint that directly or indirectly involves all of the countries in which we operate. When it comes to recycling initiatives, we have high-profile programs in areas such as Japan, the United States, Europe and now Australia. Our flagship centre is the PETIC facility in Japan. PETIC is responsible for helping set Panasonic's international stewardship agenda. Locally, we work quite closely with our colleagues at the PETIC facility in lobbying for a national recycling scheme in Australia, and their experiences were invaluable. PETIC is a recycling factory, a research operation and a company education facility all in one. For example, last year we recycled more than 1.4 million products from the Japanese consumers, including refrigerators, televisions, air conditioners and many more. Annually, PETIC recovers more than 192,000 tonnes of metals such as iron, aluminium and copper. Importantly, this work not only helps process Japanese e-waste, but is also responsible for future product design as we gather a lot of information from the hundreds of thousands of products that are handled each year. In fact, Panasonic product designers are required to visit the PETEC facility in order to better understand the challenges that recyclers face when the product's usefulness has come to an end. It can be traced back to our founders' belief that a truly successful company is one that enhances the sustainability of its surrounding community as well as its bottom line. Konosuke Mishita was something of a pioneer when it came to corporate citizenship, and his guidance has held up during some of the more challenging times. Take, for example, our company's experience in post-war Japan, where raw materials were both scarce and expensive compared to other parts of the world. Panasonic's commitment to resource preservation during manufacturing actually helped the company succeed at a time when many other companies were failing. As well as understanding our environmental obligation, Mr. taught us that stewardship also made great business sense. At Panasonic, we tend to look at the stewardship programs as an investment in innovation rather than a cost of doing business. For example, we will spend millions of dollars during the next few years to fund our commitment to the Australian e-waste program. And we're very confident that this will be paid back many times during the coming years. The great thing about such a comprehensive stewardship program is delivery of benefits right across the board, from manufacturing through to customer understanding, accessibility to resources, and the development of environmental IP. To give you an example, a few months ago we released a new Blu-ray player that was launched as the world's smallest of its kind. What we didn't announce at the time was that this was largely due to the stewardship team working closely with designers to help reduce the number of parts used in the device. The experience gleaned by the stewardship team in pulling apart millions of electrical devices gave them an unparalleled insight into what was necessary for the construction of the device. The mass of the new Blu-ray player was reduced by 31% through the reduction of the number of parts used. For those of you in manufacturing, you'll know that being able to reduce the need for a single screw can incredibly be advantageous in cost of materials and manufacturing time. To achieve a 31% size reduction is almost without precedent. As an added benefit, it also provides us with a serious competitive advantage when selling the device, as small size and portability is in constant demand in the market. It's projects like this one that makes it so important that business gets behind stewardship initiatives in Australia and other parts of the world. There's no reason why activities in Australia couldn't produce a similar result to that in Japan, Europe or the United States. In fact, we've already begun close contact with our colleagues in Japan about the potential for incorporating local data into future television design. However, there could also be other more immediate opportunities for us here. For example, data from the National E-Waste Scheme could assist us in more accurately forecasting new product demand in specific geographies based on return rates. Anyone in this business will tell you that one of the biggest challenges is knowing when and where consumer interest for a particular product will occur. So we'd be very interested to see if there are any correlations between recycling behaviour and purchasing patterns. Potentially, a spike in television collections may mean consumers in a particular suburb are more likely to have just bought a new TV, which in turn might mean that they're more likely to consider upgrading their home theatre system in a couple of months or so. This is just a theoretical example. However, if we can find a way to effectively mine this information, it could give us an important advantage over our competitors. It's these kinds of lateral benefits that we want to start highlighting to other companies. History is filled with organisations that have taken regulatory obligation and turned it into a business opportunity, not just Panasonic. Right now we're finding research around TV collection for the National E-Waste Scheme has given us insight into the logistics industry that we previously didn't have. This is going to give us a significant and measurable advantage when we next review our logistics operation. I would never have believed you if you'd told me a few years ago that one of the biggest beneficiaries of us collecting old TVs would be our supply chain costs. but that might just turn out to be the case. The trick is to keep an open mind and think laterally about how this might benefit your overall business. We need to create a supportive business culture for these programs by better appealing to local business leaders. Understanding the holistic approach to business benefit will go a long way in helping achieve the same. This is a difficult and complex discussion, but one that is definitely worth having. Hopefully, companies like Panasonic can make this easier by sharing their own experiences with the business community.